Hi, my name is Janelle Seibert. I'm the Executive Director of Special Services here in Mandel, and I am a special ed teacher. I was in the classroom for 14 years, and one of the things I prided myself on was building positive relationships with my students and our families that we got to work with. My go-to was Harry Wong using the first days of school, and I taught middle school, and I had one expectation, which was be respectful. And so the way that I would introduce that is we did an art activity, and I would go on to Google Images and find a quote that said be respectful, and I would cut that image into squares and put a number on the back. And then my students would get a blank square, white square, and then they would get a piece from the picture, and we could use paint, markers, or colored pencils, and they had that one little square to be in charge of. And then we talked about what does respectful mean to us. And so for each of my classes, respect was going to look different depending on the makeup of the kids, what they brought to the table, what they brought to their team. And we truly were like a little family in my classroom. So I followed Harry Wong. I practiced expectations and procedures. The first 2 weeks of school, we started middle of August, and it wasn't until after Labor Day that I would do anything content or standards based. Of course, we did some writing, and we worked in small groups, and we worked on the peer relationships, problem solving, teamwork, all of those things in the classroom before Labor Day. But practicing those things actually gave me more learning time later in the year, especially after breaks. And I would review those expectations and procedures, and I didn't lose that instructional time when it got to the springtime or right after breaks, because it was just an easy review, pick right up afterwards. My classroom was a safe place for all of my students. It was a place where they could come in at any time of the day. Well, my plan, some of my kids knew when my plan was, and they could come in, sit at the desk that was designated for our visitors, and they can work. They could put their head down. They could read a book. They could just sit and chill out. The only thing they couldn't do was be on their phones, especially if I was teaching, and the rest of the classroom could not be on their phones. We had a safe place. We had a classroom meeting every morning when we started school. But when we started class, I had a first hour and an after lunch hour. And we always came together as a class and talked about what was going on and what we were going to do today. I'd figure out just through things being said that somebody didn't eat breakfast, and we'd have a granola bar, just meeting those basic Maslow needs. And we started every day with a team meeting, which was really great. The two other things that really helped with my positive relationships is that I would follow through, and I was consistent. And so, I worked with kids individually. It didn't always look fair to everybody, but my expectation was to be respectful, and we had to go with that. So I had to live with my consequences. I need to be able to follow through with what I said, and then also be able to be consistent from day to day with those same high expectations. Also, it was important that I didn't hold grudges. Sometimes I had the students for more than 1 hour a day, and maybe something happened in the class before, and then I have that student in the next class. And you don't hold grudges. It was just a new class, a new time, and I think trying to be fair and hold them to high expectations really helped me with trust with my students and building those positive relationships. In special ed, fair is not always equal, and I think just in general, fair is not always equal. And so when we talk about equality versus equity, you have that base word equal and equality. So you have the 3 boys that went to the baseball game, and we want to be equal. Then we're gonna, I lost my train of thought. It's when we're looking at equal, everybody gets the same thing, but that's not necessarily what we all need, right? It'd be like if we had a teacher meeting and the presenter brings everybody coffee. Well, I don't drink coffee. I drink Dr. Pepper. And so I would want a Dr. Pepper. So that would not meet my caffeine need. And in this picture for baseball, they all got the same box, but they all got they are being treated equally, but one of them still cannot see the game. If in the second picture, you can see how they're given those different supports where it's not always going to look equal. So the student on the far left doesn't need the boxes to be able to see the game, but the student on the far right does need more than one. That is equitable. Are we giving them all equal access? In the last picture, it is equitable and equal because the barrier was removed and they can all see, they can all enjoy the game, and there are not any barriers in the way, and they all have equal access. So every student learns differently, whether they're an IEP or not. It's important that we're meeting that we know our students by name and need, and that we're looking at what they need. And for some students, it is just going to look different in how they make progress and are successful in our classrooms. So it is really those positive relationships are really important to learning, and positive relationships with our families are equally important. So build those positive relationships, and those kids will be happy campers in your classroom.